We're getting everything started here on Automation Talk number 2. This is the second week of our automation. I believe the first one was a hit. Hello, Mike Kristen. How you doing today? All right. Yeah, I'm gonna have to replace my mic. I have used my headphones right now. I'm gonna have to grab my mic, my real mic in a few minutes. I'm gonna just wait till some of you all get on before I go ahead and do that. Yeah, today's the second talk of the automation. I believe the first one went well. Today, I'm not going to pull up on automation like other people are. So what I'm going to do is have other people speak about different topics about automation. I'll just ask questions coming from a novice standpoint because I'm here to learn also. I do not know everything, and I will not claim like I know everything. That's a lot of pressure. So last week, to recap, we remember last week we went over the definition of automation. We went over what automation. We went over the good of what good automation can do to the workforce, the labor force, in and outside of America in the future, and the bad thing automation can pose to the workforce in and outside of America in the future. Last week we had guests Mike Vincent and Locast. Locast came in and he spread his expertise on the niche of my mind, but he spread his knowledge on automation. He's doing he said something really that was shocking. He said that every household in the future will have, I believe, 23 or 34 3D printing machines in the future. And the purpose of that is to replicate anything that may break in a household, such as a doorknob or a screw, anything to that effect. So that's what we talked about last week. We learned, also he schooled us on the different equipment that you may need. Well, you will need to start your 3D printing machine. And he himself on his channel, I left the link in the description. I also will link in the description on this video to his channel. He can better guide you into the different avenues and show you what he's doing on the automation front. As always, Mondays is automation talk. Wednesdays is geopolitics, and Fridays is economics. So we're gonna go ahead and let some other people come on in. Today is today anyway. Today is April 30th, the last day of April, the last day of April showers. Tomorrow's May 1st. May flowers. I think I'm gonna give myself some flowers this year. Right, put some color in this room. Okay, well, so all right. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna try to go ahead and change my mic right now to fix that on the momentum. All right, I'm back. I am back. Let's see if this will work. I don't know why my microphone is. Huh. Let me do something one more time to see if I can fix it. All right, all right, all right. Let's see if that'll work. All right, we got a like I said before, I'm one of your hosts tonight. We have another host, Mike Vincent, who just came in. How you doing today, Mike?
I'm good, brother. How are you?
All right, all right. I appreciate the email you sent earlier. Man, that I, I really do think that Wednesday we're gonna have a nice, very nice show Wednesday.
We sure would. We sure would. Um, I know you don't have a topic for tonight, but there have been a few things that I've sent the last week or so. Automated work dock vehicles that take the freights off of the ships and then carries them off. I don't know if you saw that. I sent that email to you. China has already automated that.
I've been kind of, I've been really reading the geopolitics uh, uh, emails because since the presidents of the two China countries, not China, Korean countries, since they did their soiree, I've been really trying to set myself up for a good conversation Wednesday. So I believe I missed that. I'm looking at my email now. Uh, is it the China Digital Summit on Smart Cities?
Yeah.
All right, all right. China is really, China is really trying to put their foot in a good position in the future.
Well, you know, the United States and and Western countries have had the opportunity to start from scratch, right? Whereas China, they're kind of picking up the ball from a standpoint where everything has already been done. Only thing they have to do is kind of slap their label on it and put
Hmm.
their ingenuity behind it.
Okay, so now, so is they smart enough to say, hey, we don't have to reinvent the wheel. It's already done. All these other countries are doing it. Let's just do our version of it.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely.
That's smart. I watched another. I think I watched this video as well. Germany was Germany. kind of paraphrase the video, but they were saying a lot of the smaller parts that go into the bigger parts of the automation robots is come from Germany. How Germany has become one of those countries known for that. I should have sent the video. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say your mic is breaking up so badly. I don't know if anybody can hear you.
I'm trying to think. I think what's going to happen is I'm going to have to need to restart my whole computer now. Trying to refrain from
Are you using a USB mic or are you using a 2.5 millimeter mic?
USB.
Yeah, you might have to log off and log back on, kind of break and kind of unplug the USB port.
Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna do this. Is that better? If it's not better, then I'll just unplug the whole thing.
You might want to log off well, not log off the Hangout, but mute yourself and then unplug the USB port, the headset from the port.
Okay. All right. Let me do that right now. Hello. All right, I'm back. Is that better?
No, man, that's
worse.
It sounds like you're talking out of a cup or something.
Does it always? Okay, I think what I have to do, I'm gonna have to restart the entire computer because that's the only thing that's gonna work. If everything else fails, then I'll just resend out the link to everything in about 5 minutes.
You may not have to restart the Hangout. You can probably log off or restart your computer and then it should come right back up.
All right. Let me just do that. Give me about 2 minutes.
All right.
I'm back. Is that better? I think he is doing something. All right.
You sound better now.
All right. I don't know why, why that's the case. It seems like what happens is I keep the cord plugged in into my computer, and whenever I need to use the mic, I just plug the mic in. Maybe I just need to just unplug everything, and once I need to just plug everything again. But that seems to always happen. I haven't learned my lesson yet. I should learn my lesson. But yeah, I got the email, just haven't looked at it, about China's or not ordeal. I'm gonna say ordeal about what China is doing on that front. Let's see where was it? Okay, China's digital summit on smart cities. Now it's saying just the smart cities and post. Now, where does AI play? Where part does AI play in automation?
So AI is the human interpretation of AI of automation, right? So think about the learning aspect behind like something like Alexa, right? So Alexa or Google
Siri.
Home, Siri, all of those things are a byproduct of machine learning. So it gets better as the more you interact with it. Now, when it comes to AI is a set of principles that a human would behave by on a chip.
Okay.
So
like emotions type of deal.
Not so much as emotions, but when you look at like a Tesla or some of these automated vehicles that have AI built into it, it knows to take a left-hand turn down a certain street or to get out of a lane because there's a some form of object in the middle of it or something to that effect. It reacts in the same manner as a human does.
Okay, understood now. Okay. Now, recent BGS hangouts, you all were talking about not automation but AI, and today Anti-Gravity sent out a YouTube video, which I did see part of it, about deepfakes. How I guess the guy name is Deepfakes. How he has been making this program which can manipulate people's facial features and getting them to say anything that they want. And I actually seen a video of it on my local news channel of them talking about it, and it's seamless. It will make you believe that you, well, not specifically you and I, but a person is saying exactly what that person is saying, and that person will say, no, I didn't say that. That right there is goodness. I don't know what to say about it, because the good and the bad it poses in the future. People can say, "Oh, I didn't commit that crime. It's just a doctored video," when in all actuality they did. And on the flip side of that same token, a person a person could have not committed a crime, but because a person had a vendetta or some type of animosity toward this person, they could have done it themselves or even paid someone to make a video, make this person look like that they committed a crime. And also in the article, it does talk about pornography, how the privacy issue of people slapping your favorite actresses, because let's all be honest, this is going to hit actresses more than actors on a random woman's face and making it look like that actress is having sex in a pornography film. The invasion of privacy, the crime that will go on where it'll incriminate people that didn't actually do it. Then some criminals would get off who did actually do it. And then the article also talks about how politicians are going to use this in their favor. So the future in terms of this specific technology, you really can't believe, well, it'll make it hard to believe what's real and what's not real. Any comment on that?
Well, they have been working on stuff like this in Hollywood for quite some time, right? In order to make up for like lost actors, like from Fast and the Furious. What's his brother's name that died?
Let me look his name up.
Paul from Fast and Furious, right? So that guy, they couldn't complete the movie fully. They had to replace him with his brother and all these other things, right? I think that's where kind of where it really started. Trying to use the image of that person, to complete scenes and things of that nature. Now, you can go from that, and then you can go into holograms. Remember a few years ago when they had the
Tupac
the concert with Tupac.
Yes. Now, how believable was that? And I understand people knew it was a holograph, but how believable was it? What was it like? Like, wow, this really do look like this him performing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's Paul Walker. I want to say his name instead of being on our minds all night. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Right. So that's kind of like my point. Like they've been working on this stuff for a long time. Hollywood has been working on this stuff for a long time. They have the amount of money to invest into it. So it really wasn't used for malicious purposes initially. It was more about trying to place the character that they wanted at the time that they needed.
And now that you mentioned that the Hollywood versions, the video did say that they were using the same thing as Snapchat. How the facial recognition, put the little puppy dog ears on your face, or the ghost on your face. That's the same type of technology.
Right.
All right. Hey, Dollarwood, how you doing today? Today is Automation Monday. We don't have any specific topics to touch on tonight about automation. So what we're gonna do is just have the topic of we're going to go through topics pertaining to automation organically. So if you want to join, you're welcome. I believe I sent you the link to the Hangout. Now, with China and their automation push, I know I've heard this numerous of times that if you're not in if you're not going into the industry of AI in the future, then you're going to be losing out, because AI is going to be king in the future. AI and automation, those two things are going to be king in the future. And China, with their big push, I'm trying to brush up on China more myself. China and their big push in AI and automation and their Belt and Road initiative. How big of a player do you think China will be in, say, 10, 20, 30 years in these industries that are supposed to be huge in the future?
Well, currently they're already a major player, right? And I think the original quote that you're trying to quote was that if you're not competing in AI, then you're going to get left behind, because AI is a platform that has to be controlled by somebody.
True.
So it's more about a nation state. And when you think about there's an echo in the background. I'm not sure where that's coming from, but when you think about AI, it's advantageous for somebody to be in control of it. So when you start talking about nation states having major influence on it, they can set up a whole system that is geared to work against you or against their adversary.
Now, how so?
Well, you think about the financial industry, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you think about gentrification, and you think about redlining and reverse redlining and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
All they have to do is write a script or use AI to determine that if the applicant is Black or African American, then either charge a higher interest rate or just flat out deny them altogether.
So it'll be built into the coding of the AI, which says if this, then this.
Right.
Hmm.
They already do that now.
True.
If you apply for a loan or any type of credit card or things like that, they can just deny you even without knowing that you're Black based on your zip code. Because if your zip code has a large demographic of Black people, then they can just use that as justification and say, well, we don't know why the computer said that. The computer just said that. It's AI. I mean, we don't really know anything.
No, that I did not know. I did not know that. Now, I don't know why I think about this, but when I think of AI, have you ever seen the movie Ready Player One that just came out?
I went to the movies and seen that.
Now, can that is that considered AI?
Ready Player One, it is. I would say it's AI.
Okay. Now, my question is this: can a world be replicated in AI, which people buy and sell real estate, in which people buy and sell artificial intelligence or artificial currency or stocks or an entire world where people can make money and transfer their money in and out of that artificial reality and into real reality.
So let me retract that. It's more VR than it is AI,
Okay.
right? So it's virtual reality, but there'll be AI, within the VR itself, because in order for the VR to operate, it needs some form of human decision or artificial intelligence.
Okay. Because I don't know why I keep thinking about that. I guess that movie stuck in my head. And when you mentioned VR, he did put them goggles on and go into that altered reality.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what since this channel is geared for Black men, what can Black men and Black women, just Black people, do on a worldwide in world do to get their footing in on any industry dealing with automation?
Code. So code is king, right? The more code you write, the more manufacturing of a base that you have. So when you think about how this country was formed from a material standpoint, what was the manufacturing that drove the profits for American society during the early turns of the centuries? It was cotton. Cotton made up 2/3 of the manufacturing base that brought the revenue in for America by the slaves, right?
Uh-huh.
When you think about code, whether it's C++, C Sharp, Python, Java, any of these languages, that brings code. So code is something that can be manufactured by Black people that can be exported out for X amount of profit.
Now, when you say code, and you just mentioned the different languages of coding, what? 'Cause I don't know anything about coding, and I'm trying to understand myself.
Mhm.
What
What is that? What is C++ or Java or the other any of the other languages that you mentioned?
These are languages that are used for building applications. So Python, C++, C Sharp, all these are different languages that work differently from each other, but can produce different results. For example, Google is written in very simple code. So if you type in google.com, you almost instantly get a page that comes up because there's very little code into it. They do that on purpose so that you get the best results.
Mm,
Whereas if you go to like Bing.com or you go to like Yahoo, then what happens is you get all of this text, you get all of these advertisements, you get all of these extra um, additions to the page itself that's not really necessary to what to what your objective is, and that requires a lot more code. And Google has figured out to just basically simplify the code as much as possible to get the best results.
okay, now does each language or code overlap with each other? And what I'm trying to say, if you're going for if you learn C++, do you need to learn Python, or do you need to learn this other code, or can you just learn C++ and that be your skill?
It's languages are very dependent on application. So it depends on what kind of application you're trying to build.
Okay.
So if you're trying to build, the common language now is Python. Python is used in a lot of things. But if you look at something like Android, um, Android is built off of Java.
Hmm.
So Java would be, if you wanted to design apps for Android, then you would design it based off of Java. If you wanted to design simple desktop applications on either on Windows or on Mac, then you would probably use something like Python because the language is it's such a derivative from C++. Then it's easy to port code. And people who have learned C++ usually transition to Python because the languages are so similar, but the outcome is a little different. You get better results from each, from different languages.
Okay, so it depends on what you're trying to do, which will dictate which language which language of coding you're gonna go into.
Right. And for example, Apple uses Cocoa
Coco.
for their yeah, Cocoa is used for developing apps on iOS.
Okay, Coco. All right. Now, one goes and does his coding. One learns coding or even gets a bachelor's degree in coding.
Mhm.
Pertaining to automation, then, like, do you do? I know a lot of black men say, "Oh, don't start your own business. Don't get a job." What would be the best avenue for a person listening to this video 3 years from now? That's saying, okay, I want to do coding. I see the writing on the wall. I want to go into X language. But once he get that certification, then what?
So the thing about programmers is that they learn multiple different languages in order to stay abreast. So they don't usually stick with one language. They usually learn multiple languages because they need to be fluid and flexible for application development.
Mm. So the coding is a continuous learning,
Right,
continuing education deal.
right, and it's all self governed, right? So the more applicable you are, the easier it is for you to pick up different languages as you go along because languages come out from various points. If you go back 25 years ago, people were just using C and C++. But now if you go back to today, um, or even the last 10 years, Java was huge. And now you're looking at Python. Python is really huge, and Ruby on Rails, and just a various amount of languages that come out of different languages that predated.
Okay, so it's 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 a branching off effect almost.
Right. If you think about from a linguistic standpoint, you think about Spanish, right?
Uh-huh.
Dominicans, Puerto Ricans, Mexicans, Colombians, Venezuelans, they all speak a different variant of Spanish.
Okay, true. Okay, I understand now. Now, with this automation, I wanna ask you which language is which language looks like it's going to be the most dominant. But since you said what you said, it almost don't matter which language will be dominant. Just go into coding, knowing that the landscape can change. The landscape is dynamic. Uh,
Right. So Microsoft has their own their own language that goes into Windows, and then you have Apple that has their own language that goes into Apple's products, and so on and so forth. So you're going to have to be flexible in those areas. When you go to school, whether you're going for computer science or you're going for information systems, you're taught not just one language, you're taught a variant of languages, but it's built on top of each other. So most schools, if not all schools, usually start you with HTML, and then they get you into C so that you can learn the variables and the classes that go into building out, building out applications based on the language that you're being taught. So
Now, what?
nobody ever goes to school and just says, "Oh, well, I'm just going to learn Java," and that's it. No, you got to learn a varied amount of languages before you can graduate. You can't even walk across stage without being able to develop an application, a basic application.
Now you said information systems, right?
hmm
What is information systems?
So information systems is based on information technology. Is basically it's basically the combination of networking, desktops, and servers that make up a system architecture.
Uh-huh. Now, how does that differ from IT?
So IT is information technology, but it's just classified from an academic standpoint differently, right? So information systems IT is pretty much one and the same. But if you say computer science is completely different than information systems
Hmm. Okay,
or
now,
information technology.
who are the guys people call on in a corporate environment? Say, hey, my internet isn't working, and he goes into the air ducts, check the Cat5 cables and the routers. What? Who is that guy?
He's a network engineer, but he's a part of the IT or the information systems. So information systems would be the business the business unit, but IT is just the commercial technology or the commercial application for it. So that guy that goes into the data center, he's the guy that is the network engineer.
Network engineer. And when you say network engineer, I get the picture that network engineers are more hands-on of the hardware.
Network engineer is a guy who manages your input and output of your traffic for the organization. So he knows what the routers are, what the switches are, what the cables are, what the Wi-Fi is, um, what the what the security aspect of the network is. That's his ballpark. And then you have your desktop guys who handle everything that plugs into a wall or plugs into plug that functions over the wireless, right? So you have laptops, you have iPads, you have tablets, you have phones, anything that users use. The desktop guys are responsible for that. Your servers are handled by your server engineers or your server administrators. Those are the guys who work on the back end that you really don't see. They're the guys who make sure that the website is up and going, because the hardware that drives the website needs to be maintained. And then you think about the maintenance of it, the application aspect of it, whether or not an application gets deployed or it gets decommissioned. Those are the areas of functionality that those guys are responsible for.
Okay. Now, what are Are there any certifications, or do you need to have a bachelor's degree in these various uh, in various fields of coding, or can you just go and get a certification and circumvent the bachelor's or master's degree?
So you can't certify your way into coding, right? So any programming, you can't certify yourself in those areas because it's really dependent upon performance, and there is no performance certification for any of these programming languages to determine what your skill set is. You have to actually either have a degree in computer science for software engineering or something to that effect, or you have to be able to display or a demonstration of whatever application you've built in the past.
Okay, so you almost have to guarantee, you almost guaranteed go to the degree wrap.
Um, for most people, yes, but it's not always so much about getting the degree, but it's more about the networking aspect. And when I say networking, it's about shaking hands, getting contacts, knowing FaceTime and things of that nature. When you think about Facebook was developed by 4 guys or 5 people in a college dorm.
Hmm.
Had you had not gone to college, you would have never known those guys to begin with.
Okay. I see what you're saying. And are there like conferences or conferences that people go to help them shake hands and rub shoulders with people?
Absolutely. There's conferences going along all year long. Whether it's there's so many of them. I can't even name off the top of my head, but there's probably 2 dozen conferences every year that everybody goes to.
Really?
Yeah, it's at least 2 dozen just in the United States alone. I
Hmm.
think there's four in New York that happen. That's happening between January of this year and June of this year. So
Now, have you gone to any?
I go to at least 4 conferences a year.
And they benefit you, they benefited you in some way or the other?
Yeah, half of the time the conferences are about networking, and the other half is about picking a track. So a track is a seminar or a webinar that you're going to learn from, um,
Okay.
to pick up a skill set. Um, Whether it's like something like threat modeling, where you're taking a whiteboard and you're using a marker to kind of dissect your organization and figure out what the threat vulnerabilities are going to be and what the threat actors are looking for, or you're thinking about machine learning and automation. You have other turnkey kits like TensorFlow that's used for um, machine learning and AI that's you can basically whip up yourself. That's already made for you, but you just input whatever code you want. You can kind of do it that way. There's all types of things that go on. There could be like 36 different tracks, in a week at a conference.
Wow.
That Yeah, it's so many things going on, and a lot of times people just go because it's the thing to do. It's their little platform that they get to interact with the people that are like minded for them.
Okay. Now, are these conferences and meetups, are they expensive expensive to get a ticket to?
It can be expensive, so it depends. If you're like a student or something like that, it's discounted. But if you're a working professional, then you're talking anywhere between $1,000 to maybe $5,000 for a conference.
Wow. Are the more expensive conferences, are they beneficial?
Say that one more time.
The more expensive conferences, the where you're going to pay more for the ticket, are they?
It's not so much that they're better, right? So some of these conferences are really geared towards government employees, and government is willing to spend. So the conference passes may charge more just based on that alone.
Mike, can you hear me?
I can hear you, brother.
Okay, I'm listening, I guess, through the chat, through the link. I don't know if it's going out. Am I
Yeah,
making sense?
I think because Lionel left, we have to wait for him to come back before we can continue.
Gotcha.
He should be back in about 30 seconds.
Okay. I'm just listening to you explain the mysteries of how people get into the IT world. That's all foreign to me. But I like the I guess you could call it the equality of that.
The equality of it.
Yeah, of that industry. The
It's
way
not
that. Mhm.
it's not really equal, brother. It's not really equal.
Well, I'm talking
We actually,
in a relative sense.
because it means equal playing ground. You come with the skill set and you move ahead. Yeah, I understand that aspect.
Well, what I mean in the sense that now, in many parts of that industry, if you get the certification, and you can prove that you have the skill that the certification implies that you have, then you got a shot. You got a shot.
Mm-hmm. You write your own ticket.
That is very much the way it was for me when I was around 20, and that's missing in a lot of industries, and I think that's good.
Mm-hmm.
But for my job, it wasn't a certification, but they had a test. They had a test that you had to take. You had to pass